And you may recall songstress and lefty losing it elder stateswoman Barbara Streisand blaming Donald Trump for making her fat. Yes, the president's powers are truly profound. Well, it's not.
Is this for real? Really? Really? Who's forcing the food in your mouth? Is it President Donald Trump? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if we look what RFK Jr. is doing right now, I 100% agree with him. Like, you shouldn't have 50 ingredients in, I don't know, McDonald's, when every other country has like 5 ingredients, right? Maybe McDonald's is a bad example, but you get the point, right? Most of these ingredients are additives. So it literally makes you addicted to the food that you're eating. So it's not completely your fault that this is going on, but at the same time, that was prior to Donald Trump being in power, even in 2016. Just look when Americans became one of the most obese nations in the world. That was definitely prior to Donald Trump. So I don't know, how do you want to blame him for being fat?
Just Babs who's overeating because of Donald Trump. Here is Rosie O'Donnell talking about how Trump's triumph saw her piling on the weight and hitting the bottle.
During his first go-round, it was very difficult, and I got myself into some bad places. You know, I was very, very depressed. I was overeating. I was over-drinking. I was so depressed, Chris. I can't, it hurt my heart that America believed the lies about him. And then it broke my heart to be in a business that creates and sells those lies for profit. You know, it was very heavy, to tell you the truth.
She wants you to...
Okay, obviously, Rosie O'Donnell is rich, right? But let's compare it to the Biden's administration. I think if during the Biden's administration you had issues with overeating, gaining weight, and you were still able to keep your house, I think you were pretty rich back then as well, right? So yeah, I don't think President Trump's administration was this bad when you had no issues doing that. Really, try to do it during Biden's administration. You would probably either lose the house or starve. Like, there's no way that you were overeating and keeping the house. But again, Rosie O'Donnell, famous. But why are we blaming Donald Trump for this? Like, obviously you have some mental issues if this affects you this much. And I don't remember that Donald Trump would try to get her to prison or investigate her or anything like that. So the stress that he caused you is literally just your own fault. I don't know. Call me crazy.
I think she's better now because she's fled to Ireland. But here she is just a few weeks ago with her delusional dreams about getting rid of Donald Trump. She thought it could happen perhaps even by June 14.
So upsetting everywhere you turn. It's really hard to believe that this man is the president of the United States. Yet he is, and I'm just hoping that we can get him out as soon as possible, hopefully before June 14th. Now, I don't know that that's possible, but that's when he wants to have this massive $90 million military parade for himself.
The parade was...
Yeah, okay, so wait, dude. So let's just say that you get rid of President Trump, which I think it would be a huge mistake. But who do you want to replace him with? Unless you say J.D. Vance, I think you're completely crazy. Because you want Joe Biden back? Really, you're complaining about President Trump after 4 years with Joe Biden? And you're saying that he's incompetent and all of that stuff? Really? Or what, you wanted to elect Kamala? Oh, sorry. Wait. Actually, no. What the hell? Seriously. Israel News React for when you have time. Okay, yeah, I'll look into that. Thanks. We'll finish this and we'll try to take a look at it.
Was for the military, Rosie, celebrating 250 years of service, and it was magnificent, you miserable fantasists. Now, here are more crazy folk who claim cutting NPR's funding, cutting PBS's funding, will end lives. What? And why do they always look like this?
Oh my God. You know what's ridiculous? That these people will argue with January 6th. They're going to be like, oh yeah, but Republicans, January 6th, 5 years ago, it was so horrible. We don't do anything like this. While they're burning Teslas, they need to get escorted out of the probably governmental building or something like that, throwing bricks at the federal agents, obstructing justice. But hey, January 6th, right? And I'm not saying January 6th was okay, but literally you have one strike, big strike, but one strike on side of the Republicans. And at the same time, President Trump told them to go home, right? Not to storm the Capitol. And then you have Democrats with freaking 5 to 10 strikes in this 6 months only. And Democrats representative like Mayor Bass in LA and Gavin Newsom literally telling people to obstruct justice, don't let the ICE take their neighbors, which are in the country illegally. So what are we talking about, really?
Now, the next scenes you're about to witness are not from New York or California or some other depraved blue state. This footage is from Pride events in the great state of Texas. And these events are apparently family friendly.
Oh, I got it now. So that's why June is Male Mental Health Awareness Month, right? Or Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It's probably because of these people. Like, are you serious? What's going on? It's like you don't want to be equal. You don't want equality anymore. You want something else. Like, come on. Just shut this shit down. I think everyone has equal rights right now. Why do we need the full month of this? Have a day. Okay, have a day, one parade, somewhere that it doesn't bother anyone, right? Have some decency. Like, come on, during the daylight, this. Really, if my kids see that, I would be so freaking pissed. And that brings me to another point. Like, what happened to the Netflix and like warnings about LGBTQ content and 18 plus? Like, my wife started watching some movie and then she was just mortified because it never warned her that these scenes are in the movie. And I'm just thinking, what if my kids in the future just accidentally click on something like that? That's not in the section like LGBTQ or 18 plus, and they will see it. How is that okay? How is it possible that you can't get, I mean, obviously you can't get to porn when you're not 18, but it always asks you, are you 18? But somehow on the Netflix it's okay to click on something and see this content, which is pretty much porn, just not heterosexual. And it's in the movie. Like, really? I'm so glad President Trump is in power, because I really believe he's going to restore this, like, just put logic back to the world, or obviously put logic to US, and then eventually the whole world will follow. But yeah, crazy times we're living right now.
Now to some CNN craziness. Let's hear from former Congressman Jamal Bowman. Remember that Democrat race baiter? Well, he's now on CNN claiming that black folks are suffering serious health issues because people are using the N-word.
You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease...
I'm white, I can't comment.
Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly.
Who calls you the N-word? Or who calls you the N-word the most? Because I hear it everywhere as well, right? But it's usually rappers, movies, comedians. And usually they're black. So I don't know if that stresses you out. Maybe you should stop using it, right? And like heart disease, diabetes. Well, RFK Jr. is fighting against it because it all comes from the food. I'm not saying that stress helps with your health, right? But if you have good diet, it helps with the stress as well. So, hey, RFK Jr. is actually helping you.
Or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen and try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
Just unbelievable levels of race baiting lunacy there. Let's stick with CNN. They had some sobering news for their ever diminishing audience. This needed a trigger warning for the lefty snowflakes.
I'm scared.
Because there's no way you can spin this data. It is historic. The fact is that despite the relentless fake news and media hysteria, Donald Trump is the most popular president with Republican voters ever. And that includes the great Ronald Reagan after he survived an assassination attempt. Grab some popcorn and enjoy this lefty rage bait, also known as facts.
So this isn't just Republicans who like Donald Trump. This is Republicans who love Donald Trump. And he's up like a rocket. Look at this. In July 2017, the strongly approved was 53%. That's pretty good. But look at where he is now. 63% of Republicans strongly approve of the job that Donald Trump is doing about 5 months into his presidency.
Wait. Is it just Republicans or like all the people? I know he's mentioning Republicans, but I would think that within the Republicans, he's going to have even more approval right now. Are you like pro-Trump? Honestly, I would say so. I like what he's doing with US. I like what he stands for. Obviously, he's not perfect. There's things I disagree with. But I feel like Republicans, and especially his administration right now, I think he put together like a bunch of capable, intelligent people who are trying to put the U.S. back on track. Like I said, RFK Jr. finally dropping the hammer on the food and the ingredients and everything like that, right? That's definitely good for U.S. And Trump getting rid of DEI, which again, it definitely was a good idea, but the execution was horrible. It literally turned into discrimination. So yeah, I would say that he definitely does more good stuff than bad. And I don't know if you're from US or no. Obviously, if you're not from US, it's not that ideal, right? But if you think about it, if like I live in Canada right now, and I would love to have a leader like President Trump, who cares about people who elected him, or at least tries to do the best for them, and less for, I would say, foreign affairs. Because look, if your country is burning down, why are you sending money outside of the country? And especially taxpayers' money. Like, first take care of your own country. If your own country is in best position, then you can help, or better position, then you can help all around the world, right? I don't think it's that hard to understand. And yeah, honestly, like I said, I like President Trump. I don't think he's perfect, but with this administration, I think they're doing a lot of good stuff.
Love Donald Trump. the way that Americans love Disney World. The bottom line is 63%. That is a huge, huge base. And of course, it's just part of a Republican base in which about 90% of them overall approve of him, including the somewhat approves as well.
I mean, every politician would like this number here, especially to see it go up. How about compared to other presidents who were Republicans?
Yeah, it's history making. It's history making. What are we talking about here? So why don't we look back? We have all the presidents, Republican presidents, going back over the last 35, 36, 37 years. What are we talking about? GOP, who strongly approved 5 months in. Look at this. George H.W. Bush, Bush 41, 46%. Bush 43, 59. You see Trump, the first term, 53. But look at this, 63%. He beats all the other Republicans on the board here. And I was looking even back since Reagan. And get this, Donald Trump beats Ronald Reagan when it comes to the strongly approved 5 months. And of course, Reagan was coming off that high after that assassination attempt. So the bottom line is Donald Trump is making history with the Republican base. He is more beloved by this Republican base than any Republican base loved any GOP president 5 months in. It is history making.
I mean, that kind of reminds me the NBA greatest debates, right? It's like you have different periods of history. You can't really compare it because what Joe Biden did or his administration in this past 4 years, that definitely helps Trump's approval rate, because all he needs to do is pretty much just put the logic back into decision making, and that's it. Something like he just did. No male in the female sport, right? That's logic. Like you can't have biological male competing with biological females. Like obviously someone has advantage. I don't know that it was flying for 4 years and everyone was okay with it. So like, yes, like I said, I think President Trump, unless he screws up, he's going to be considered one of the best presidents of USA. But at the same time, he kind of has ideal conditions to accomplish it right now. So right now, it's literally up to him if he's going to end up being one of the best or no.
Oh, I think I need a cigarette after all that. And here's some sobering news too for the rhinos, the Republican in name only members who think they'll reclaim the GPO from Donald Trump. Wrong.
You do not want to go against Donald Trump because the Republican base is with Donald Trump. And it's not just the polling. We actually have the data to show that the Republican base is with Donald Trump. The Times Trump endorsees won the GOP primary for governor and congressional races. Look at this. 2024, 96%. 2022, 95%. 2020, 98%. The bottom line is this. 95% plus of the time, the Trump-endorsed candidate wins in GOP primaries. And even in the cases where Donald Trump endorses a challenger to an incumbent, the majority of the time, that challenger wins. So Donald Trump is a winner in Republican primaries. You go against Donald Trump, to quote the movie Good Burger, you go in the grinder.
Joining me now is host of Sarah Gonzalez Unfiltered on Blaze TV and Vice President of the Texas Family Project, Sarah Gonzalez. Sarah, what do you make of that data? These are, as Harry Enton said, historic numbers in the GOP. No president has been this popular among Republican voters.
Yeah, I mean, Rita, thanks for having me on. I think that the Democrats, in large part, I would say, have themselves to thank for these historic numbers, because we have never seen a Democrat Party that has made their entire identity just hating another person, regardless of the policy. I mean, you have Donald Trump that just got elected in November, in large part due to his immigration policy, due to his promise to deport illegal criminals. And what are the Democrats doing? They're fighting him every step of the way. They have these activist judges that are blocking him implementing the policy that Americans elected him on. And so you saw it leading up to the election, Rita. Every time there was another assassination attempt, every time they threw him in the courtroom and didn't allow him to go out and campaign, Americans saw what was happening. They saw the lawfare and they said, we are not for this. We stand with Donald Trump. His numbers just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And what did they do after he won? all they did was double down on the same bad ideas that they had leading up to the election and decided we're just going to continue the lawfare. We're just going to continue fighting good policy. And that is a large reason why you see these historic numbers for not just Republicans, but Americans saying, no, you know what? These are reasonable, common sense policies. This is why I went to the voting booth in November and voted for him. And shame on you, the Democrats, for trying to fight the American will.